When I first played The Last of Us Part 2, I was blown away. I thought it was masterfully crafted, the gameplay was a massive improvement over the first one, and the presentation was just out of this goddamn world. But the game did leave me broken in a million pieces. I mean, the story was heartbreaking, sad, and utterly depressing. At first, I saw this as a positive. The game had made me feel a bunch of different emotions, so that must be good, right? But then I played it a second time for the platinum, and that's when I started to see the flaws. Because like with any modern Naughty Dog game, as much as I love what they do, once you know the story and the crazy set pieces, you're left with a game that's relatively basic. Not to say that every game has to be complex, but without intricacy, replayability is tougher to achieve. And even if The Last of Us 2 marks a solid improvement, the core gameplay loop is fairly simple when compared to other titles. Player agency is almost non-existent. So going through the game a second time, even though I still thought it was very good, highlighted a bunch of issues I had with it. Like the fact that Abby's part clearly should have been a standalone spin-off game like The Lost Legacy. But the glaring issue that I had was obviously Joel's death. When I learned the leaks a couple of months ago, I was furious. But as time went on, I started to accept the fact that this is where the game was going. By the time I was playing it, I had already grieved Joel. But while I accepted that narrative decision, at the end of the day, I couldn't help but think, why? Why would they do this? Nobody asked for this. It's okay to take risks, but here it's like going to a restaurant, asking for a pizza, and the waiter brings you a salad. And no matter how good the salad is, it's just not what you asked for. It's not what you paid for. My relationship with this game has been so weird. On one hand, I thought the game was amazing, but on the other, it seriously pisses me off. So why would Naughty Dog want to make their fans angry? Enter Ghost of Tsushima. After seeing the gameplay during the state of play, I thought it looked great, but nothing too special. I even thought of waiting for a sale. But dear God, I'm happy I didn't. When I started playing this game, I was overwhelmed by a feeling that I hadn't experienced in a while. And that feeling was just pure joy. I couldn't believe how fun it was to play. And don't get me wrong, the game has a very dark and brutal world, but Sucker Punch still wanted to make their players happy. It sounds simplistic and overly obvious, but it's true. Every pillar of gameplay is rock solid. The combat is insanely satisfying and complex, the exploration is super rewarding, and the story is just badass. I mean, there's no other word for it. But the best thing about this game is that it gave me a sense of wonder. Every time I would grab the controller, I was excited to come back to this world. To see its beautiful landscapes, its gorgeous colors, and to experience its wonderful little side stories and mythic tales. Exploring this island reminded me of the first time I explored Hyrule in Legend of Zelda, or the first time I explored Sandover Village in Jak and Daxter, or even the first time I discovered the Forbidden Lands in Shadow of the Colossus. Ghost made me feel like a kid again, while also dealing with very adult subject matters. It was like a toy box, but for grown-ups. Sucker Punch struck the perfect balance here. Where Naughty Dog were desperate to break you, Sucker Punch wanted to empower you. Last of Us 2 messed with my emotions, but for no real reason. Yes, the story they told was very powerful and well made. I mean, I cried several times. But it just overshadowed the whole experience, making minute-to-minute gameplay exhausting to an extent. They could have made a story just as powerful without making everybody mad. Why they didn't, that's a mystery to me. The first Last of Us was already very sad and incredibly moving, but the game had light, had hope. Last of Us 2, however, feels completely hopeless. Ghost of Tsushima was almost a therapy for me after the struggle I had gone through with Naughty Dog's latest game. To have a game that made me feel this good and happy after The Last of Us 2 was such a breath of fresh air. And Ghost made me realize what games should be about. They should be about giving the player a fun experience, a fulfilling fantasy, no matter how dark the story is. Even though I admire Naughty Dog's courage to go forward with their decisions, I cannot help but think about what the game could have been if they had simply wanted to make their fans happy and not challenge them mentally. I'm sure at some point I'll start loving it again, and then I'll hate it some more, love it again, but for now, I still think The Last of Us 2 is a spectacular accomplishment, but sadly, it's just not the game the kid in me wanted to play. So this is why I needed to play Ghost of Tsushima. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed my take on Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us 2. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. I post a lot of fun stuff, and support the show on Patreon. All the links are in the description below. Peace.